Today we got the brand new intro to the map Terminus, and there's obviously a lot of things that happen in this intro, but I want to break down what I believe to be by far the most interesting thing, and it all has to do with Weaver, which is crazy to say because just the other day I made a video complaining about Weaver saying he was just a campaign character to me, but now after this intro, he is super interesting to me, and mainly what he has written on his cell walls. And all of this is very exciting. But let's not waste any more time, drop a like and subscribe, and let's get into this. So there's two walls, but this is the first one, and obviously the main thing that everyone's eyes gets dragged to is what's said right in the middle, Richtofen. And it's kind of interesting because we never really knew if Weaver knew the identity of the director. I assumed he didn't, and maybe he didn't back during Cold War, but it would make sense if he did because he's the only one who had contact with the director. Nobody else really did. But there's a possibility he learned it from another place, which we'll get into after a bit. Now there's a lot of things on this walls, but the first thing I want to draw your attention to is this symbol here is going to be the star looking symbol with an eye. Now it may just seem like some random thing, but believe it or not, this is actually tied to Lovecraft. Yeah, Lovecraft is back in Zombies. For anybody who's been keeping up with Zombies for years now, like me, you would know Lovecraft was a huge influence over Black Ops 3 Zombies. You know, the whole Margwas, Apothicons, and all that. That all was influenced by Lovecraft. And now we're seeing that influence directly here again through the symbol. But what is this symbol? Well, it's actually called the Elder Sign. And what it was used for, at least in the Lovecraft story, it was to protect against the Great Old Ones. And that name, Great Old Ones, is very important because sure, there's the whole story in Lovecraft about the Great Old Ones and all that, but I do think that that's really the only thing that we should take from this, from at least what I read. Maybe I'm missing something, but the reason I say that is because we have the Old Ones literally mentioned in Zombies before, specifically Cold War on Forsaken, and it's on this document here, and it's in the second part where it says, "The devoured shall be reborn, their scattered ashes shall be reformed, the Forsaken's torment will be undone when the Old Ones reign once more." And there it is, the Old Ones being mentioned again. Now, obviously, it's the Great Old Ones in Lovecraft, but you know, you get the similarities. They both have the Old Ones in there, and I think this is exactly what they're tying this to. But the question is, who are the Old Ones in the Zombies storyline right now, right? Well, we have a couple hints at it, and there's a whole radio that I'll show on screen, but not play it all, where it talks about where it's actually Zykov, who's actually the Forsaken, but we didn't know at the time of this radio, talking about how the Forsaken came to be. The Old Ones were actually having a fight between themselves, and two of them died, and the Forsaken devoured them and gained their power. And he used that power to defeat more and more, devouring more and more, and becoming more and more powerful until he took over the entirety of the Dark Ether, where the only Old Ones left were rather in hiding or swore loyalty to him. And that's definitely great info, but we would like to see them, right? Well, believe it or not, we've actually seen them and had a lot of contact with them in a game that is unfortunate to talk about, but it, of course, is Vanguard Zombies. Yep, anybody who played that knows exactly what I'm talking about. But either way, the important stuff about this is showing us the Dark Ether before the Forsaken took over and the ones who ruled over it. And what these were called in Vanguard Zombies were Dark Ether entities. And here's at least two of them for now, one being Kortifex and the other being Invictor. Now, what's interesting about Kortifex is that he actually used to be the kind of a ruler over the Dark Ether, similar to the Forsaken, but he lost his power and was trying to regain it through the story of Vanguard, which is not entirely important for now. But overall, the main point is that these Dark Ether entities are more than likely the Old Ones they are talking about. And kind of coming full circle back to this Elder Sign, this sign protects you from the Old Ones. And I don't know if we're going to like see like some weapon or something with this sign on it, or if it's just a hint for this trailer, but overall, this is exactly what they're talking about here. And now, since we know who the Old Ones are, we can now move on to the other symbol that we've seen, that is, again, also Lovecraft. And this one is the yellow sign. Now, in the story for this one, is wore by the Brotherhood of the Yellow Sign, and in other words, these are ones that worship the old ones, the great old ones. So it just seems like it's an occult that is, you know, worshiping the old ones. And I think there's actually some evidence for what this is in the current story, because obviously that's for Lovecraft, but it's probably going to be something similar in this story. But what I'm pretty sure this is going to be is something we heard very early on from Zykov. This is talking about his early days in the Dark Ether before he became the Forsaken. Because when regular humans were being trapped in the Dark Ether, a lot of these humans kind of started worshiping some of these old ones, and I think that the ones that survived, probably no longer just human form anymore, are going to be the ones of this yellow sign, and we're going to see some sort of weird occult thing happen again. Now those are the main two ones there, but there are other things that we need to talk about. Now we'll leave this wall alone for now, we will come back, but for now if we look at the other wall that we see for Weaver's cell, we actually see a couple more things. And the first one I want to talk about is this small one in this little corner. And this looks very similar to something, again, we saw in Vanguard Zombies Out of Everything. This looks very similar to the Construct. And for the people who rightfully didn't play Vanguard Zombies, the Construct is this entity that's been in the Dark Ether since even before the Dark Ether entities themselves, or the old ones in other words. But what we learned through the map, the Archon, the Construct actually chooses its Archon. It's in the name of the map, and what that means is that it pretty much gives that person godlike powers. Now, what role it could possibly play in here, I honestly don't really know, because it seemed like it was going to be something that kept in the Vanguard story by itself, but now seeing it return is very interesting. But now this leaves us at a question. Why does Weaver know any of this? Like, really, like, why should he know about the Dark Ether entities or the old ones? He wasn't in the Dark Ether back when they were there. Well, we may have a hint back on the other side of the wall, because what it says here in red ink, I will have no dreams in breathless slumber. So what I think this is implying here is that Weaver has been having these visions through his dreams about all of these things. The Construct, the old ones, and even the occult for the old ones. He's had visions of all of them through his dreams. And why exactly would he have them? I would only imagine these may be induced by Samantha Max's, because Samantha Max's has already been trapped in the Dark Ether for a while now, because you have to keep in mind that time goes way faster in the Dark Ether compared to the regular world here. So I'm imagining she's learning of all of this and somehow showing Weaver these through his dreams. Now, of course, that is a complete educated guess on my part. I don't really have any evidence for that, but I really can't think of any other reason, at least right now. And those are the main things that I think are worth talking about on these walls. Now, there are some other things. If we look at the wall behind them again, we do see these Russian words behind him. And the question is, why is there Russian words behind him? Well, Weaver is actually half Russian, so it wouldn't make sense that he would write these Russian words behind him. And if I am correct and I use Google Translate right, what this translates to, both of them combined, obviously one on his left shoulder, one on his right shoulder, it would say, I will destroy my enemies, and then it has two guns above them. But what's interesting is what those guns are somewhat pointing at. They're pointing at what I believe to be is just a portal, but what's in that portal looks just like a stuffed bear. Like, if it was a stuffed bunny, it would like make me think it's Mr. Peaks, but it just looks like a stuffed bear to me. So now I'm curious, because before this we thought his enemy was Edward Richtofen. I mean, he literally has Richtofen written on the wall in front of him, right? But now for some reason he's saying I will destroy his enemies, having two guns pointing at what I think is a stuffed bear or something like that. That is just weird to say the very least. But that's going to wrap up this video, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about all of this, because to me this is super exciting, and I want to hear if you guys are feeling the same way, and if you guys have any theories or ideas about any of this, definitely drop them all down in the comment section below. Regardless though, that's going to wrap it up for this video, and if you guys did enjoy it, I appreciate if you guys dropped a like, subscribe, bell, share, any of that great stuff. But I'm going to go, and I'll catch you guys next stream, video, or whatever the heck it may be, and laters guys.